Chapter 36, Pretty Lucky. Just when Su Cheng was out of options, Shen Yao immediately came over and stopped him. You won't be able to win. They are the ones operating this casino, so they are obviously going to stomp you when it comes to gambling. As a rebellious little princess, Shen Yao certainly knew about the 4 gates, so she didn't think Su Cheng should get involved in this when the chance of winning was close to 0. How would you know if I don't give it a try? Su Cheng replied. With all the pro dealers here, you think you can get the last laugh? There are 50 tables here, and each one has an expert dealer operating it. How are you, a noob, going to go up against them? Shen Yao frowned. Listen to me, don't get involved. No matter how rampant Westgate is, they won't beat up your police friend in public. At most, they will beat him up in the back and then report him and get him fired. Do you think it's easy to get a job at the police bureau? Su Cheng rolled his eyes at Shen Yao and said, after losing this job, where do you think Zhang Ruin can go for another stable job like this one? You think everyone's living comfortably like you? You won't understand the hardships of ordinary people. Hey, you really don't know how to be grateful, don't you? I'm trying to help, and a pitiful man certainly has a reason to be despised. This guy's an officer, but he was brought in by the people of Westgate without a choice, so he obviously did something he wasn't supposed to. Shen Yao said, I don't have anything against you giving 200,000 yuan away to a family you just met, but Westgate is not something you should offend. Su Cheng looked at Zhang Ruin, who was terrified and had his mouth taped. He looked very lost and was looking at Su Cheng as if he was begging. At last, Su Cheng gritted his teeth and said to the middle-aged man, How do you want to play? This is 100 yuan of chips, and I will give you half an hour. If you can come back to me with 100,000 yuan worth of chips, you can take him out of here. Isn't this bullshit? Shen Yao felt the difficulty was way too high. Although everyone gambles to make an easy profit, who can profit 1,000 times their original amount? Maybe with 10 or 20,000 yuan, you could get lucky and then come out with 100,000 yuan or so. But winning 100,000 yuan in 30 minutes with just 100 yuan? That's basically impossible. Immediately, Shen Yao felt like these people were basically bullying Su Cheng. I think even the pros you have in this casino can't accomplish this. The middle-aged man just snorted, if you don't have the balls to play, then just get lost. Su Cheng asked, I can play at any of the tables on the first floor. The middle-aged man shrugged his shoulders. Yab. Su Cheng directly took the chips from that guy's hand. He came out of the office, and Shen Yao chased over as well. Are you crazy? Not yet. If Zhang Ruin was fired because he was violating some policies, I would have nothing to say. However, it's unfair if he gets fired because of a trap set by someone that was trying to get back at me. I want to give it a shot, Su Cheng replied. Shen Yao sneered, once you put that 100 yuan down, you have at least a 50% chance of losing. Once you lose, it's game over, and even if you win, that's only 200 yuan. Those guys want you to make 100,000 in half an hour. Then what happens if I win 200 with 100, and doubling that 200, I get 400, then 800, then 1,600, and then so on? Su Cheng asked. Shen Yao laughed mockingly, the best gamblers in the world probably can't even do it. Your plan doesn't tolerate any loss, because you are going all in every time. How can you be certain that you won't lose even once when it comes to gambling? Unless you cheat. But then again, you think you can escape their eyes? Before, I thought you were arrogant and hard to read, but now I think you are just too dumb for me to be able to read what's in your mind. Su Cheng certainly wasn't dumb. He had something to rely on, and it was his sensitive hearing. Ignoring Shen Yao's nagging on the side, Su Cheng came over to a table that was playing guessing the dice. He sat down and saw 3 and 6 on the 2 dices. When the dealer covered up the dices with a cup and started shaking it, Su Cheng's ears immediately locked onto the frequency of the dices rolling inside. He faintly closed his eyes, submerging his whole body and heart into trying to feel the situation inside the cup. Finally, after the dealer put down the cup, he shouted, "Buying big or small?" The people around the table made their bets, and Su Cheng pushed his chips to the big side. Shen Yao didn't even dare to look and only turned around when she saw Su Cheng leaning in to take his 200 yuan worth of chips. But, everyone could get lucky once, so she still didn't have too much hope for Su Cheng. During the second round, Su Cheng closed his eyes and listened to the movements of the dice. When the dealer saw Su Cheng and how he had his eyes closed as if he was some kind of pro, he couldn't help but sneer, so pretentious. Su Cheng didn't mind him. Big. The dealer lifted the cup, it was a 5 and 6, which was big. The staff handed over 400 yuan worth of chips. Just then, a guest that lost all of his money left in anger, opening up a seat. Su Cheng sat down and massaged his own shoulder as he held onto the chips, not in a rush to place down a bet. When the cup finally stopped shaking, Su Cheng pushed his chips to the big side. "It was big twice already, I think this one should be small," Shen Yao chipped in. The other gamblers on the side also nodded. "The young lady has a point, it's small for sure this time, I bet small." "Open it," Su Cheng said to the dealer indifferently. When the cup was lifted, it was actually 4 and 6, which was big again. With 2 dice, the sum would be counted as small if the total was 6 or less and big if the total was 7 or more. When the dealer revealed the dice, many of the guests that were yelling small all snorted and sighed, and Shen Yao immediately took out her phone and awkwardly stared at the screen, pretending to be chatting with someone, as if she wasn't the one that was encouraging everyone to bet small earlier. Su Cheng took the 800 yuan worth of chips, looked at the time, and saw that 5 minutes already passed. He listened for the sound inside the cup, not in a rush to place his bet. Shen Yao analyzed again, "I think it's going to be small this time, there's no way it's going to be big 4 times in a row. It's about 50/50ths each time, and it has already been big 3 times. It's about time for it to be small." A bunch of pro-gamblers used a variety of metaphysical reasoning, and the easily influenced people all threw their chips into the small area, and then they all looked at Su Cheng who hadn't placed a bet yet. In fact, Su Cheng already had an answer, but he pretended to be struggling as if he was a newbie. At last, he threw his 800 yuan chips into the big area. "You will lose your money sooner or later." A gambler couldn't help but laugh at Su Cheng. At this time, a middle-aged woman also followed Su Cheng and bet big. She was actually very cautious normally, and she had been paying attention to Su Cheng ever since he joined. Maybe other people that joined halfway didn't know how Su Cheng got the 800 yuan chips, but she saw everything and noticed that he got it right 3 times in a row. She felt that Su Cheng actually knew a thing or two, so it might be less risky to follow him. When the cup lifted and showed 3 and 5, those 5 or 6 people that placed bets on small immediately looked towards Shen Yao. This time, Shen Yao immediately placed her phone by her ear. "Hello? Oh, sorry I'm busy right now." Yeah. Yeah.